Recording is on.
Good. Okay.
Okay, so for those of you who are watching, we had a little bit of a break in our connection here. So Judge McCluskey, you had one other thing you wanted to say about discretion.
Yeah, the discretion has to do with the stay periods. I can extend the stay due to certain circumstances involving the families. For instance,
el juez tiene discreción si se determina que se tiene que desalojar. Su discreción es el tiempo adecuado para que puedan desalojar en un momento mejor para el inquilino.
for example, so if, let's say the eviction occurred in April or May, and the end of the school year was June 1st, for example, I would extend due to those circumstances. I would have the family stay in the premises until the school year ended. Okay, again,
por ejemplo, se determina en abril que en mayo se tiene que desalojar el inquilino, pero sus hijos terminan sus clases la primera semana de enero, a la fecha que terminan las clases de sus hijos, él puede extender que se queden en su vivienda hasta ese tiempo.
again, you have to use your discretion with compassion.
Tenemos que usar nuestra discreción con compasión.
Thank you.
Gracias.
What, if any, effect or what difference would it make if a tenant had if it's even possible, sort of a verbal lease or a month-to-month lease? Would that have any impact?
¿Qué impacto o diferencia hace si un inquilino tiene el contrato cada mes?
There's different notice requirements on month-to-month leases. Usually, you have to notify someone in 30 days if you want them to vacate the premises, as opposed to a 5-day notice on a month-to-month lease. Also, when you have a verbal lease, it's subject to interpretation what the terms are. And landlords usually don't like to do that because they say, here's what the lease says, it's in writing. And the tenants, if the tenants get a verbal lease, there could be all sorts of terms that the tenant believes is viable to their defense versus the landlord. And it all comes down to the judge having to hear the case and figuring out what did they really decide when they decided to get into a landlord-tenant relationship. So vows are very difficult for, I would say, the landlord's point of view.
Es lo que preguntó mi compañero Ken también, era que también hay inquilinos que les reciben por palabra el contrato, nada más por palabra. Eso es muy difícil, dice el juez McCluskey. Es mejor tener un contrato escrito. Y dijo también el juez que en un contrato de mes por mes tienen que darle 30 días de aviso de que quieren que desalojen versus 5 días.
Judge McCluskey, can you sort of formulate a kind of a workout agreement or a compromise between the landlord and tenant?
That's the goal. The goal is, and that's why I have these fine lawyers who are working for no money from DuPage County Bar Association and also from Prairie State Legal Services, which is a legal aid organization, is to always try to work out reasonable terms. So the goal here is to, and I do, all the cases before I hear them there has to be a discussion to accommodate the landlord, but also to accommodate the tenant. The goal is to keep the tenant in the premises.
Mi compañero Ken acaba de preguntar si se puede hacer un acuerdo, un contrato legal mediante transporte. Los abogados quienes están asistiendo en la corte, sí lo van a hacer para que haya equidad entre las dos partes. Pueda pagar el inquilino al dueño y el dueño esté satisfecho con el contrato que se está determinando.
Okay. With respect to legal aid, can the undocumented avail themselves of legal aid, or what legal aid services are available to someone if they happen to be undocumented?
Con respecto a la ayuda legal, ¿puede una persona indocumentada accesar ayuda legal?
It doesn't matter whether they're documented or undocumented. The legal services
son documentados o indocumentados.
The legal services through Perry State Legal Services and through the DuPage County Bar Association Legal Aid are available to any tenant.
Los servicios de Perry State y de la Asociación de Abogados de DuPage son accesibles para todos los inquilinos.
Okay. Assuming there is a workout agreement, if the tenant subsequently suffers a lower income, they're working fewer hours, and maybe they're even terminated, what would happen at that point?
Well, I
What should the
encourage.
tenant do?
Well, here's what would occur. The landlord would bring it to the court's attention that the payments haven't been made. The landlord would then seek possession of the premises. The job of the eviction judge is to see if there can be a modification of the agreement, if there's a good faith effort by the tenant. Communication by the tenant to the landlord, I can't emphasize the utmost importance of that.
Mi compañero Ken acaba de preguntar que si después de todo este acuerdo en corte sufre el inquilino un incremento en sus ingresos por falta de trabajo o X cosa y no ha podido pagar, ¿qué sucede? El juez McCluskey respondió que el dueño va a informar a la corte de que no se está cumpliendo.
Let's look at.
El juez aconseja que se haga un diálogo, que se hable y haga acuerdo con el dueño. Muchas veces en la corte, si se ve la intención del inquilino para pagar, pueden hacer otras modificaciones viendo que hay voluntad para cumplir con el contrato.
Let's look at what the reality is at this time.
Vamos a ver lo que la realidad es en este momento.
This is a very unusual time that we're going through, and the landlords are cognizant of the number of people that are unemployed and are unable to pay the rent.
Estos son unos tiempos inusuales. Y los dueños de viviendas están conscientes de la situación de todos los inquilinos en estos momentos.
Landlords want to work with the tenants because if the tenants are good tenants, but they're going through some tough times at the present, I find most landlords want to make sure that they keep the tenants and allow the tenants an ability to recover. In other words, get a job and make some payments so that the landlords don't have to start all over again with new tenants and have to deal with all those circumstances.
Los dueños de las viviendas están dispuestos a ayudar a sus inquilinos, mayormente por si tienen mucho tiempo con esas viviendas, no quieren volver a empezar con nuevos inquilinos. Y es muy posible acuerdos con los inquilinos y con los dueños de viviendas.
Thank you.
Okay, and then let's assume the opposite case. The tenant, after a workout agreement is in place, the tenant has a increase in the number of hours worked, or they're employed, they now have a job. What should the tenant do at that point?
Lo opuesto puede ser que el inquilino ahora tiene trabajo y más ingresos. ¿Qué debe de hacer el inquilino?
My comment on communication applies in this situation. Contact the landlord. Make sure the landlord understands now your financial condition, and make every effort to make sure that the landlord is paid, because circumstances can change. And if the landlord sees that you are making a good faith effort to meet your responsibilities, your financial responsibilities, down the road, you will be rewarded for your straightforwardness and honesty.
La comunicación es clave del éxito de la relación entre inquilino y dueños de vivienda. Si se le comunica todo hasta que tenga más trabajo, más ingreso, está tratando de cumplir más con su trato, habrá una mejor relación y un buen comportamiento.
Okay, that takes care of the questions that I have. Judge McCluskey, do you have any other things you'd like to touch on, things I may have missed?
No, I think you covered an awful lot. There is organizations that collaborate with the court system and eviction court, and I just like to mention a few of them. The one organization that connects, and it's kind of the umbrella organization that works well with the tenants and refers tenants to non-for-profit organizations, is called Bridges Community.
Una organización que puede accesar los inquilinos donde necesitan ayuda es una organización sin fines de lucro, se llama Bright Community. Is that correct?
It's called Bridges Communities Organization.
Bridges Communities Organization.
And under that organization, you have the DuPage County Homeless Continuum, and you have the DuPage Home Ownership Center, and you have various organizations that are there to assist the tenants in finding them affordable housing or interim housing so that they can get back on their feet. But Bridges Communities is the organization to contact. They're in Wheaton, right on Roosevelt Road, and available to any tenant.
Bridges Communities se encuentra en Wheaton, en la calle Roosevelt. Y ellos tienen debajo de ellos muchas organizaciones del Condado de DuPage quienes se dedican a buscar viviendas que puedan accesar los inquilinos o cualquier persona para evitar que sea una persona sin hogar.
Okay, I guess that wraps it up. So Judge McCluskey, thank you very much for taking time. Well, actually, Julieta, do you have any closing questions or comments?
Well, just comments. Thank you very much. I learned personally some things that I'm constantly asked, and I was like, well, I really don't know. So now I know a little bit more, and thanks to you, Judge, I'm able to let people know where to go and who to call. So thank you. Thank you very much for your
All right, well,
conversation.
Julieta, thank you for interpreting, and that'll close it out for now. See you guys.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.